Want to have better virtual meetings? It turns out that a little emotional intelligence and a bit of neuroscience will give you some important clues about how the brain works so you can lead and engage more effectively online. Just for example, you know how somebody asks a question and then there's this awkward pause and then inevitably two people start talking at once? I mean, that's easy to fix, telling people who's going to go next. But it reveals an underlying issue about how our brains are working in this virtual context. Normally, we get a lot of subtle cues about what's happening around us. Part of this is activated through a system called mirror neurons, which is one of the ways your brain processes social cues and helps you tune into the environment. Our social brain systems are not as activated when we're in a virtual context. There was a fascinating study that was done focused on people in the autism spectrum. And what they found is that people can tell whether they're watching a video or live in person. Now, I mean, that sounds obvious, doesn't it? Of course, you know when you're on a video, but what's surprising is that your brain is differently activated. What's happening in your brain processes the signal of a video meeting differently than the signal of a live meeting. And so we miss these little clues about who's going to go next, or about trust, or about connectedness. Now, for a lot of managers, they hear social brain activation, and they think that's about, going for drinks after work. And yeah, we miss it, but what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is this is how we create trust. This is how we know who's in and out of the group. This is how we know where we stand. This social brain activation is central to collaboration, to risk-taking, innovation, problem-solving, and effective communication. So if you want people to work well in this virtual context, you're going to need to grapple with this reality. Whatever kind of software you're using, it's a thin approximation of face-to-face communication. Now, there's another important study about mirror neurons that shows when people are more focused on who they're observing, their mirror neurons are more activated. So this gives us one important clue. And in that same study, they found that when people are doing things that feel important to them or significant or meaningful, if it has relevance, their mirror neurons are more activated. When we are going to meet online, there are two critical things for us to do. One is lean into the social engagement. It isn't just playful. It's part of the serious work that we're trying to do to build team, to build trust, to build connectedness. The second thing you need to do is light up people's brains by using multiple senses, metaphors, and other techniques that engage people more deeply. Even something as simple as, okay, everybody hold up some fingers. 5 means you totally agree. 1 means totally disagree. Ready, set, go. It's going to engage people's brains in a different way. And this is important for you as a leader. Don't just sit there and talk. Don't just sit there and have a passive, low-level communication. There are also advantages of this virtual work that can help you. For example, there's greater intimacy when people are able to see each other and look at each other as they're talking. We don't really get that in most meetings. It's exhausting because we can't hide, but there's a benefit because we can't hide. Have shorter meetings, more focused, and make sure that you're prioritizing checking in with people and engaging their emotions, because emotions are what make the social brain work. There's something more vulnerable about the world today. People are sitting home, they're on their computers, they're more isolated, their need for connection is greater, and in that vulnerability, there's more opportunity to build connection and trust. All this virtual reality of our world today is creating disruption, and disruption is difficult for us. It's tiring. It's hard to figure out what's next. But disruption also creates opportunity. Disruption gives us a space in which we can try something new. The bottom line here is that we're going to have to work harder with our emotional intelligence. This is time when EQ leaders are going to step up and really make a difference for their people. Now it's your turn. What are you going to do to make virtual meetings better?